Well, good evening, America, and tonight we bring you something new for the LGBTQ community. You're going to participate with the largest collection of diverse LGBTQ personalities ever assembled. COVID-19 and how our world in 2020 has changed brings new thinking, new conversation. We've marked Stonewall 50, but now what's next for our gay community? What is important to us between now and November 3rd, 2020, and the election of a lifetime? So many questions. Now let's try to find some answers through an interactive live platform for conversation. Combine interesting and diverse individuals from our community, combine the most important and even fun topics to discuss, combine your ability to participate, and we found something completely new. So many of what is important to the LGBTQ America is going to be discussed tonight on Gay Town Hall. Well, welcome America to Gay Town Hall. I'm Al Ferguson, and before we introduce our host, I would just like to remind you that this show is aired live. It is technically incredibly difficult, so anything can happen, and try to hope for something to happen, because frequently it does. So as I introduce each host, I have asked each to tell me what is on their mind for Thursday, August 20th, 2020. So let's meet this amazing cast. First off is Power Infinity. He is a hybrid DJ diva and he lives in Lakeland, Florida. Good evening, Power.
All right, so what's on my mind? Let's just get this out into the open. Last night on It's Happening Out, Al issued me a challenge. We have a bet. I want everybody to know, the whole world. Al has bet me that I cannot stay out of Facebook jail up until November 3rd. Whoever wins this bet gets to take the other one or gets to be taken to the best restaurant in Fort Lauderdale. So I want everybody to know. So when y'all see Al lose this bet, baby, I'm eating down. We can't hear you, Jenny.
Oh no, we can't hear Al. We lost him.
That's the best you've sounded all night.
Wait, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
He's trying to get out of that Denver girl.
So first off, since I've been called out so viciously, I want to correct Power right out of the gate. The bet is for the best restaurant of choice in all of South Florida. Bitch, we're going to Miami. And
All right, yeah.
America, I promise you, Power Infinity staying out of Facebook jail for 78 days is a physical impossibility in the land of Trump. I am so there. All right, all right. He caught me totally by surprise. All right. Oh, it's on. It's on. All right. Next up, this is Reverend Dr. Darrell Watkins. He is senior pastor of Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church, and he lives here in Fort Lauderdale. Good evening, Darrell.
Hi, what's on my mind tonight is I expected to serve you sanctified petty bitch tonight and rejoice at Steve Bannon's fate. But instead, I'm actually too sad because I'm very sad to learn of the death of Chi Chi DeVane.
Yeah.
She's a beautiful RuPaul Drag Race drag queen from season 8 and All Star season 3. And she was born just 60 miles and 19 years from me.
Yeah. Oh, and
19. Sorry.
and no, that's all right. And Jarrell, one other thing I have to say is I understand this week that Sunshine Cathedral's neighbors kind of went down a little this week because you got a new neighbor that is really not so desirable. I understand.
Yeah, well, we do have an outreach to the unfortunate.
We'll tell you all
actually,
about that in a minute.
We are very proud of our new neighbors. We are so excited about our new neighbors.
Yeah, we'll tell you about that in just a moment. And this is Dwight Allen O'Neill. He is a #1 Amazon bestselling author of the book Shoulda, Coulda, Woulda. Love that title, and he lives in New York City. Good evening, Dwight.
Good evening, greetings, lovers and friends. Tonight, what's on my mind are carbs. I'm on a diet, and I miss carbs so much. Yeah, carbs.
Yeah, you
Lots
say
of
that
carbs.
to the former 500-pounder. This is Houston Cypress. He is a two-spirit gay Native American, and he lives with the Miccosukee tribe of Florida from the heart of the Everglades. Good evening, Houston.
Hi, friends. Hi, family. I've been thinking about this week because, like, here we are in the COVID situation. I'm just trying to keep my eye on the tropics, make sure no hurricanes come this way, because what kind of mess is it going to be when we're in COVID and if a hurricane hits? So I'm just praying my best that the hurricane don't come this way.
Absolutely. And this is Dr. Ty Hauser. He is a progressive college professor from Wilton Manors, Florida, and has just recovered from coronavirus. Welcome, Ty.
Good evening, everyone, friends, family around the world. So this week, one of my fellow co-hosts posted a picture that had a very prominent VPL. And I just want to say, elimination, my epidermis is bigger.
Oh. And this is John Holt. He identifies with a non-culture definition and even anti-culture. He lives in America's largest gay campground. It's a really fun place, the Sawmill in Dade City, Florida. Good evening, John.
Good evening. I have an important question. Does the fact that I'm seeing gay online therapy ads in my Facebook stream mean that I have issues?
Yes, that's what it means. Facebook is never wrong.
It's listening. It's at least listening.
Right. This is Rossaroni. He is an actor, and you know what that means. Broadway actor, drama queen, living in Lantana, Florida. Good evening, Rossaroni.
Good evening. What's on my mind is whether or not my voice is being heard. And if not, I'm going to sing louder because I don't think my neighbors can hear me. And I feel like it's so important that they can hear me sing.
All right. And this is Taisha Best. They are asexual and polyamorous, using the pronoun them. A flight attendant living right here in Wilton Manors, Florida. Good evening, Taisha.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome aboard. What's on my mind? Well, I found out today that I'm going to be a sex toy tester, so I'm excited to continue that 100% success rate that I have with my self-measurement. And also, I've been thinking about why there's not more articles talking about how the mailboxes have been shutting down and closed down in more of our marginalized communities. So I have both Sado and masochism happening at once.
Oh, my. And clearly a flight attendant because you told America, welcome aboard. This is Elimination Onyx. He's a sex-positive leather pansexual from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Good evening, Elimination.
Hello, kinky humans. Today, what's on my mind is I'm just kind of thinking about my community. I'm thinking about our people. There's a lot of deaths running around. There's a lot of people falling ill. So I just want to kind of send positive light, positive messages, and positive heart to all of our family and friends that are watching tonight.
Very nice. And this is Amber Taylor. Great pause here. She is a feminine lesbian with what we are all very jealous of. It's called Big Dick Energy. She lives in Wilton Manors, Florida. She's a mother. Good evening, Amber.
Thank you so much, Al. My big dick energy is tucked into my waistband tonight. I promise to be on my best behavior. On my mind is my children going back to school, and so many different children going back to school all around the United States where cases are higher or lower. It's really tough right now in our country.
Absolutely. And Amber, I'm going to be on your side all night helping you slap these boys right in the face with it. America, tonight we introduce our most important host, and that is you. Online with us is David Hopkins. He is the creative inspiration at America's most popular live LGBTQ TV show, It's Happening Out. Power is a host of that show. Tonight he represents you as moderator in the Facebook comment thread. He can bring your comments directly onto the screen and can place you, even if you would like, there live in the conversation with this motley crew, with these hosts and our discussion. We encourage you to participate in the thread and tell us what you think about the topics that we're talking about. Serious, important, and funny, you're going to hear it all tonight. Welcome David Hopkins as America's voice for Gay Town Hall.
Good evening, America, and happy Thursday to you, DJ Mark Rivera.
Oh, absolutely. All right, so let's begin. LGBTQ America's discussion. And we're going to begin with topic number one. And we have a special guest coming up in just a moment. But in topic number one, the entire world is talking about what the LGBTQ community has learned from this week's DNC. So watch this.
Ending this chaos, we have got to, you know that I tell you exactly what I'm feeling. You know I hate politics, but you also know that I care about this nation. You know how much I care about all of our children. So if you take one thing from my words tonight, it is this. If you think things cannot possibly get worse, trust me, they can. And they will if we don't make a change in this election. If we have any hope of ending this chaos, we have got to vote for Joe Biden like our lives depend on it.
During the Democratic National Convention, we heard from a variety of politicians, both past and present, as Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama delivered powerful rebukes of the president, and Kamala Harris accepted her nomination as vice president. Of course, tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern, approximately, Joe Biden will do his acceptance speech. What did we learn this week in the LGBT community from the DNC? Power Infinity, let's begin with you.
Well, you know, we learned, or we were reinforced with the fact that we have, you know, a more diverse, more inclusive, more embracing platform and party, which I'm very, very proud of. You know, as you saw, we just saw Michelle Obama speak, and that quote was what I actually was going to point out, that we have to vote like if our very lives depend on it. And that is probably the most powerful quote for me that resonated, because as a double marginalized citizen, that really, really holds true. Plus, we've also learned that, you know, we have cooler keynote speakers than the RNC does. I mean, we had Hillary Clinton, we had Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, you know, Michelle and Barack Obama.
AOC.
They have the, you know, right. They have the My Pillow guy, Kid Rock, and the original bat that caused the COVID-19 pandemic around the world. So, you know, we got it. We got it on lockdown anyways.
What was exciting to see is all those emerging leaders step up and make themselves seen, be heard. And for those who are wondering, how do you check an administration? Those are the people that are going to check them, because they're going to hold them accountable for what they say. These emerging leaders. And I was so proud after I woke up from the concussion I did from doing a two-step, a spin on my head, the breakdancing I did from hearing all those amazing speeches, by the way. But those young people are giving light to young people that are watching, and knowing that they have a voice, they can be the next set of come ups. And I'm so proud to see how those individuals will make change and do what we need to do. It'll be slow, but guess what? It can be done.
So I had a very bifurcated reaction to everything that's happened so far. On the one hand, I can hope again. Like, I feel like for the first time in 4 years, I'm allowed to have hope. On the other hand, I also learned that the left is happy to move slowly to the right in order to get the votes they need.
I love that. Can I just say Michelle Obama was giving me totally Claire Huxtable vibes. Definitely old school comedy show. Honestly, what America needed. Claire Huxtable, in my mind, is America's mother. But also, I just kind of want to correct her. Like, our lives do depend on this. It does. It's not a might. It's not a maybe. It really does. We have to get out there and vote. And I want to shout out our affinity for everything you're doing to get people to vote. And I think we all have to band together to push so that this hope can actually become change.
I'd like to say that I really loved the format. I liked especially the roll call where they went to each of the individual states and you got to see the states. I loved that. And I loved that you could see those speeches and there wasn't all the noise and everything in between. I know other people are going to have a much different take on this, but I loved it. And I loved that I can zoom through, so I can go back and review all of those and zoom through and see which speeches I want to see and see it again. I thought there wasn't enough love for Buttigieg, obviously, because I think he's great. And the Obama speech scared the crap out of me. He really laid it on the line about us losing democracy. And to your point, I think he was speaking directly to the far left and saying, hey, we know that you're not happy that we're somewhere here in the middle, but we hope that you'll come along because this is too important for you to not play.
That's right.
So I took that out of that.
I was going to ask a little modification of what we've seen this week from the Democratic National Convention. What have you thought about the LGBT representation? Statistically, the greatest embracement of the LGBT community in history is this week at the Democratic National Convention. We've never had more exposure, coverage, visual presentation, or words ever in our history, 51 years since Stonewall, than this week. What have y'all thought about the impact of that?
We had siblings who on national TV, one sibling had his husband right there, proud, gay, loud, and proud. And then we had our other sibling who said it clearly in his introduction who he was in his speech. Not only did he say it, but he empowered you to love him more because of who he was. So again, for those babies that are watching who, and YouTube will be able to look at this 5 years, 3 years, tomorrow, they will feel empowered because a lot of us didn't have that on TV. A lot of us didn't have role models. A lot of us didn't know, wasn't able to resonate. And so we had to trifle or push in who we were and keep it in the closet.
It was closeted politicians. That's
and
right.
Very much. And so therefore we have, our babies have people to look up forward to. So out to your point, it's out there, it's to be seen, and their voices are making a difference.
I think elimination is right, considering that the log cabin Republicans are still in their log cabins with the door shut, unlike the DNC. Has allowed, for actions to speak louder than the words, and the words are actually being more consistent because they are showing who they support visually, not just on paper. And I think it's important that when we talk about representation matters, that we address that in many lenses, not just saying it by word, but also by policy and also by leadership representation.
Can I just say something that might be a little contrarian? And it's actually a good thing. I actually looked at everything that happened this week with the LGBT representation, and I had to actually stop and think about it, because actually for me, I started to actually take it for granted. And that's a good thing because of the fact that in my world, I'm so used to this type of acceptance and this type of diversity that it didn't even really wash over me. Wow, we have this representation on stage. Like in my world, I'm like, we should already have this, so it's not really a big deal. And I think for a lot of younger people, as years go on, it's not really going to wash over them, the impact of moments like this because we're going to be so used to it. And that's what the kind of world I would like to live in, where it's normal to see somebody achieve those levels.
To Powers'
And Kenneth Merrick is asking why he's feeling guilty loving Rhode Island's road call about calamari.
Yeah, we love the calamari call out. To
I also liked the couple in Maine that were farmers, the gay couple in Maine, and he said he just wanted to sell his vegetables on the side of the road. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah.
What about Kerry Washington? Did anyone think Kerry Washington looked so good and was so hot and did an amazing job? I tried to get up off of the bed. I was stuck to the mattress. She was so good.
Does anybody feel a kind of way? Because I saw this on social media. I actually didn't see AOC's what she said about Bernie Sanders, but I saw some people get upset. So I want to ask our hosts and our online viewers: did anybody feel a type of way about the fact that AOC did not show support to Biden? Does anybody feel angry at her, or how you guys feel?
Not at all. Well, Power, it's a procedural vote.
Process.
Yeah, it's a procedural vote. No, I think, definitely take this. I think it's a procedural vote that happened, and due to the lack of civic education in this country, people don't understand why she made that such an impactful representation there. And nominating Bernie Sanders, she was also nominating a progressive agenda so that it could be placed in Biden's agenda, which is super important. If you're wanting to get progressives to vote for you, then you also need to show that you are supporting those who weren't actually nominated in person, but also using their part of their platform as part of your agenda to kind of unify the voting bloc. So I thought actually it was a really important step. I saw that ABC News, I believe, apologized because they insinuated and gaslit that experience in a way that did not help this lack of education in this country. And I hope that, again, the younger viewers and of all ages engage civically and learn these procedures so that when they happen, you know and understand what's going on and why your vote matters.
And I also
he met the threshold to be nominated. And she seconded a nomination. That's just how it is. But every state that even had more delegates for him than for Biden, each and every one would say, and this many votes, delegates for Bernie, and this many for Joe, or this many for the next president of the United States, Joe Biden. So even Bernie supporters also showed their support for Biden. It was all procedural. I'm proud for the guy I did support. I'm proud for the guy who won. I mean, it was all good.
And I also think it leads to the next conversation of policy versus politics, meaning that I can believe what I believe, and I still know that we can get to the promised land together. But we have to do some work together, and you have to listen to me. I have to listen to you, and find a way to make everything work.
Yeah. I'm so glad that Taisha clarified that. I think it was, I was just asking the question, and I think it was good that we addressed it, and you said it beautifully. Something that Aaron Phoenix, one of our co-host on It's Happening Out, said, and I think it was really powerful. For those of you that are not really on board with Biden and Harris, and they were not your candidates and this, that, and the other thing, just because we elect them does not mean that we have to stop holding their feet to the fire. Yeah. Does not mean that we have to stop holding them accountable. That's not where it stops. Yeah. So we know that we need to get that other bum out, but that doesn't mean that we sit back and not hold accountable the people that we elect.
Let me hold on one second.
I especially agree with that because I'm learning more about Kamala Harris's dismal record from California in her treatment of the indigenous people. So I'm here to educate and inform her and compel her to do better in terms of our relationship with the indigenous sovereignties. So I hear you, Power.
We only have a couple of more minutes on our first topic this evening, but I want to bring us back to the LGBT nature of this week. Power's observation washes over me very, very soundly, which is I'm just starting to get used to it. However, that comes from a power seat observation. We are watching more homophobia in Marshalls and Walmarts than almost we have ever seen. We're seeing dozens of videos every week. And what's happening as this commonality is washing over our television and our magazines and our media and our entertainment and our Hallmark channels and our Lifetime channels, there is it's small, but a degree of homophobia that is growing harsher and harsher and harsher. So this week is it. My question to y'all is, with watching the greatest LGBT week we've arguably had, except the possible exception of marriage equality passing the Supreme Court, we are going to now see very significant backlash via homophobia in our community. How are we going to respond to it?
Elect someone that does not fan the flames of divisiveness inside of our country. That's the best thing that we can do, is exercise our right to vote.
And I think this convention so far has shown us, like, they've been very honest about hate is a very real threat to us, and love and hope are very real threats to hate.
I think Darrell Watkins is correct. I also think that we should also work on protecting our most marginalized populace within the LGBT community, and that involves protecting Black trans folk. I think that they're not also given enough time in the air in terms of how, you know, the other of the alphabet of the LGBTQ is hyper focused on ensuring that they're protected, and it seems like Black trans folk are, you know, left behind. So we are only as powerful as our smallest and most quietest voice, and I think we need to elevate and empower our quietest voices more often.
Absolutely.
And can I also add to?
Go ahead.
I know. I just want to kind of also make another mention about this, how this week also resonates with Black women and Black folks in general, because she highlighted HBCU, she highlighted those organizations that's been doing the work. She's highlighted women who were often Black women who were left behind 100 years ago. And so there were people who were, last night thought about, well, what about the HBCUs who've been around 100 years who are now closing their doors? How do we help them? Because those were the education opportunities that people like me had that have been now left behind. And so we have to also think about that too. And because of, you know, she's learning Amber's big, thick energy, and she's now showing that and putting on the table. And I can't wait for her and Pence to battle it out. And she shows Pence that hers is so much bigger, that we have to take that into consideration too, Al. And I do, you know, I just want to kind of remind you of that as well.
And Rossaroni, I thought you were trying to push in. I'll give you one last opportunity, and then we're going to move on.
Oh, yes, thank you. Okay, I was going to say that I feel that a lot of this homophobia from the other side is it is almost used almost like as a weapon to pull them away from us, to unite them together. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's us against them. Yeah. Divisiveness. It's a dividing and conquer type of situation.
You know,
I would just say that there's a comment at the bottom that mentions that Pete is going to be speaking tonight. So yay for that. He's on the final night, so that means he's getting lots of love. So I've been corrected.
And to Ross's point, that worked in 2004. The Republicans and George Bush used gay and gay marriage and gay rights as the wedge issue for their base. This is 2020. It's not going to work. It's not going to work, and that's the answer to Ross's point. Let's move on out of this topic, and let's talk about film. And here in South Florida, one of the largest LGBT film festivals in the world is getting ready to begin. It is called the Outshine Film Festival. We always joke that we are broadcasting here from the gayest place on planet Earth, all over the United States, but really all over the world. And tonight, we have made a very significant commitment in promoting the Outshine Film Festival from Happening Out Television Network. All of our platforms, including this one, Gay Town Hall and Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out, is supporting it. We're supporting it because at no time in history has LGBT not-for-profits been under greater challenge than in 2020 because of COVID. And how do you have a film festival that is designed to interact with each other in 2020 when there is COVID? What you do is you reinvent yourself. And Outshine Film Festival is a magnificent example of what is occurring in going completely online. Over the next 10 days, 40 films are going to be displayed. They're having record sales at Outshine Film Festival as a result of it. And tonight we want to introduce you to two individuals that are very unique to us. One of the films that are being broadcast in in the Outshine Film Festival. And we're very happy because we're getting ready to go to Rio de Janeiro. And we're going to Rio de Janeiro live. We are introducing you now the director of a film that is in the Outshine Film Festival called Dry Wind. And the director's name is Daniel Nolasco. And he speaks Portuguese, and we have his translator with him, Adam Fischler, who is going to help us in terms of talking about Outshine and the film Dry Wind. So Daniel coming and Adam coming from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, welcome to Gay Town Hall.
Thank you.
And exactly. All right. So Outshine Film Festival, Adam's going to help us. We're going to have a little bit of delay because Daniel's speaking Portuguese. But tell us, Daniel, a little bit about what Dry Wind is about. It's an interesting theme of this LGBTQ film. Tell us a little about what it is about.
Entendi, Ana.
Tá bom.
Ah, tá. Então, O Vento Seco ele é um filme de ficção, ele é um melodrama erótico que narra a história do Sandro, que mora numa pequena cidade no interior do Brasil chamada Catalão, que fica bem no centro-oeste brasileiro. E ele vai contar a história desse personagem, da rotina dele, como a vida dele se muda, muda completamente com a chegada de um outro personagem, que é o Maicon, que ele se interessa e vai se relacionar com ele e com outros personagens do filme.
Well, I'm gonna try to sum up. It's a movie. It's kind of a melodrama, and it's about this character named Sandro, who lives in a city named Catalão in Goiás. It's a state in Brazil. And it's about change. It's about the changes that he faces when he meets a new guy in this very small city. It's something like that.
Did I understand in terms of the plot of the movie that one basically, by American understanding, identifies in the leather community and one identifies in the bear community? Did I get that correct?
O filme ele é um filme bastante erótico, né? E ele tem um diálogo estético muito forte com tanto a estética fetichista do BDSM quanto do leather, né? Ele está bem inserido dentro desse universo estético.
Yes, that's correct. It's a very erotic movie, and it conversates with the BDSM and the leather community. In many levels.
Well, we have several hosts, including America's host and probably Elimination, that they set up straight right away, hearing the theme of the movie. I also read that both of them, David's going someplace. I also read that that the film is very sexual in its orientation. That it is very out there in terms of its sexuality. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Ele tá perguntando se o filme, que ele ouviu dizer que o filme é muito sensual, muito sexual, muito na cara.
A gente pode dizer que o filme tem explícito, né? Ele tem essa questão de tratar a questão da cena de sexo de forma muito direta, né? Dependendo da concepção do que a pessoa acha que é explícito, é um filme explícito. Sexo explícito.
Daniel's telling me that it all depends on the viewer. You know, if the viewer is not used to seeing an amount of sex on TV or movies, they're gonna think it's very explicit. But if they are kind of used to it, it's not gonna be so explicit. So it depends on who's watching it.
I'm curious, thank you for that clarification. I'm curious Daniel, tell us about why you would direct a film like this and why an LGBTQ film festival like here in South Florida that is broadcasting to the nation this year in COVID, being digital online. Why is a film festival important to you as a director?
Não entendi, né?
Ele está perguntando por que um festival nos Estados Unidos é importante para você como diretor.
Bom, eu acho que o festival tem esse negócio que eles são historicamente, né, espaços de divulgação, né, de debate sobre o cinema, né, se a gente for pensar sobre as transformações que o cinema LGBT passou nos últimos 30 anos, ele está muito ligado com a popularidade dos festivais de temática LGBT. E os Estados Unidos sempre foi uma referência, né, sobre o cinema LGBT. Se a gente pegar, por exemplo, que o New Queer Cinema, que é um movimento dos Estados Unidos e do Canadá, né, que é um movimento que basicamente transformou bastante todas as discussões relacionadas ao cinema LGBT. Então, a importância está muito nisso, né, que é um epicentro de debate sobre as questões LGBTs no cinema.
Como que é o nome do movimento, Dani? Desculpa.
New Queer Cinema.
New Queer?
Cinema.
Okay. Daniel was telling that festivals have always been very important places for the LGBTQ community for reasons like it's always a place that people can talk about it. And he also mentions a movement, it's New Queer Cinema, and it's very important for this community, and the United States represented like worldwide in that sense that there are so many LGBTQ festivals in your country. I don't know if I made myself very clear.
Yes, you did. We understood. Daniel, I want to discuss a moment Brazil, specifically in the LGBT community in Brazil. There are 3 places in the world that are considered. Daniel, by the way, Daniel and Adam have just sat through our conversation about the Democratic National Convention and the LGBTQ's embracement this week, the greatest in history, probably, in the United States. If there are 3 places in the world that we are seeing the same kinds of things, like we're seeing from our president in the United States, we are also seeing from your president in Brazil and the president of Russia, Trump. Frequently in the LGBT community, I read op-eds that call them the axis of evil to the LGBT community. What's your reaction of how your president in Brazil is reacting to the LGBTQ community, and how does that affect you as a filmmaker in LGBTQ cinema?
Entendi. Eu acho que né, a gente tem que explicar que o Brasil não se tornou um país LGBTfóbico com o Bolsonaro, ele sempre foi, né? E que o que aconteceu é que com o Bolsonaro houve uma certa oficialização, né, dessa perseguição à comunidade LGBT por causa do que está no discurso dele, né? E essa coisa, né, basicamente quem trabalha com cinema LGBT ou outros artistas LGBT no Brasil, né, Bolsonaro declarou desde o começo, ao longo de toda a campanha, e depois colocou isso em forma prática, essa perseguição ideológica mesmo nesses temas, tanto que aconteceu de forma, né, real quando ele censurou alguns editais, assim, né? Então ele é uma né, plataforma, digamos assim, da campanha dele, e ele é notoriamente homofóbico durante toda a vida política dele, que já tem mais de 30 anos.
Daniel is saying that that Bolsonaro didn't bring the LGBTQ phobia to Brazil. It was always there. What he did was that he helped it come out, you know, like people who would not say things like that to other people, they found they like validated to say whatever they wanted to say because the president of the country would allow them to say that. So he did a lot of things for bad things for the cinema, like we had like many funds that would give money to make cinema, you know, and he kind of killed that. So it's very difficult to make cinema, not only LGBTQ cinema, but cinema in Brazil right now. It's very difficult.
LGBTQ America, I would just draw your attention to the answer that you just heard in Portuguese about what the president of Brazil did. He didn't cause homophobia, he capitalized on it. And we could replace his name with Donald Trump and replace his name with Vladimir Putin, the axis of evil. It's very interesting. Daniel, one final question of asking you about being a filmmaker in Brazil. What does the Brazilian LGBTQ community impression about the American LGBT community? What do Brazilians think, both men and women, in your community?
O que a comunidade LGBT no Brasil pensa da comunidade LGBT deles?
Bom, a gente acha que isso é progressista, né? Eu acho que tem uma questão que, né, a gente tem uma certa noção, eu não sei se é real ou não, mas que é uma comunidade que várias pautas de diversidade, né, de todas as questões, está mais bem estruturada lá do que aqui no Brasil, né? Parece que a gente está chegando no momento agora aqui no Brasil que a gente está começando a entender que existe uma gama gigantesca de pautas, né? E que parece que lá nos Estados Unidos isso parece que a comunidade LGBT lá tem mais consciência disso do que há mais tempo, né?
Okay. He says that the community in the United States, it seems to us that it's more aware of many topics that we are now beginning to talk about in Brazil. Like maybe we were just focused on just a few topics, and now we are talking about many other things that we weren't talking before, and we have the sense that you were talking about it for so many years since Stonewall, maybe.
Yes, and Adam, please express to Daniel, perhaps in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, they need a Brazilian gay town hall.
And
wait,
real quick, Adam and Daniel.
Wait. Oh, go ahead.
Okay. We have a question from Richard Hubley. He's asking, does the film have English subtitles?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Excellent. Thank you.
All right.
Yes, it does.
And definite yes. And my last observation on Brazil. One of the things interesting to me here is we have so much commonality with Brazilians that perhaps LGBT America didn't know until this conversation, and it's brought to us from film. Film and the arts help us learn that, which is why we support LGBTQ film festivals. There's approximately 20 still operating around the United States. If one is operating near you, and now in 2020 you can do it digitally, you need to support them. It is the best way to support our not-for-profit queer culture in film. And one of the largest in the world is beginning tonight, the Outshine Film Festival here in South Florida, but you can see more than 40 incredible films just like this one called Dry Wind from Brazil. Last thing I have to say to you, Daniel, and I speak on behalf, please be, I apologize for being presumptuous, but I speak on behalf of the host here at Gay Town Hall, and Adam, you translate for him later. We send our salute from the American LGBT community to the Brazilian LGBT community. We know, you told us what you think about the American community. We'll tell you what we think about the Brazilian community. When I saw that Dry Wind came from Brazil, I went, I was interested immediately. We've heard about the women of Ipanema. And of course, we know about Brazilian men and every possible inclination of what that means.
Yes, God.
Right. So Daniel Nolasco, director of Dry Wind, and Adam Fischler, from both coming from Rio de Janeiro, we thank you very much, and we encourage you, America, Outshine Film Festival online. You can participate, and there's never been a greater need for you to support are LGBT not-for-profit organizations, especially in LGBT film. Adam, Daniel, thank you for being with Gay Town Hall tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. All right, before we move on to just one more sentence, we want to tell you about our new broadcast here on the campus of Sunshine Cathedral. It's really quite an exciting new concept, very unique, lots of space here. Sunshine Cathedral, there's probably a host here that knows something about it. And Sunshine Cathedral is the largest queer religious broadcast in the world, largest queer church in the world. And we're very fortunate right in our backyard here in Fort Lauderdale, Wilton Manors. And let us show you a little bit about Sunshine Cathedral. Watch this.
Reverend Dr. Ann Atwell, Minister of Connections. Sunshine Cathedral is my queer church.
Our next segment tonight is called Just One More Sentence. We're going to give you big LGBT headlines or news with a gay perspective, LGBT perspective, that have happened this week, and then we'll ask all of the hosts to write the story live right in front of you. And they can do it, but with a twist. They can only do it in one sentence. So holding these horses down is going to be very, very difficult, but they can only do it in one more sentence. All right, here we go. In a new trailer, by the way, I'm speaking directly to Power. I am required by RuPaul to do one RuPaul story every single week. And here it is in just one more sentence. In a new trailer for the new RuPaul series that will debut tomorrow night, it is revealed that the girls on the show have been doing quite a lot of fighting. So let's write the story in just one more sentence. Headline: Surprise, surprise, as RuPaul drama continues and Drag Race Live Las Vegas review premieres. Power? Let's start with Power.
Headline: Unpopular opinion. I can seriously give two shits.
Oh, I'm going to lose my annuity. Darrell.
If Vanjie is going to sleep with every other living drag queen, if Vanjie is going to sleep with every other living drag queen, then I'm about to beat my mug like it's one of Elimination's tricks.
Dwight.
I just hope the pit crew has a storyline because those guys are looking really good. So I just hope the pit crew has a storyline.
And Houston.
I am here for the queering of America, so yes, let's have some more of it.
Thank you. Ty.
Cameron is mine, Vanjie. Back off, bitch.
John.
Voice of America wants to see that video.
So do I.
Drag queens and drama. How do they keep this fresh?
That's the joke. Rossaroni.
Well, at least they're not being chopped up and strewn along the side of the highway in Las Vegas like every other drag queen.
Oh my goodness.
Lord.
That's too dark for me.
Taisha.
That joke was darker than my skin tone, but moving forward, I just want to email one of them and get their expertise on halo lights because I'm trying to like level up with my makeup and I know they got it going.
And elimination.
I like my kisses wet and their booty tight.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Amber.
Ever since I saw Dragula, you guys have to check out Dragula. I have not looked back. I don't care about RuPaul anymore.
Okay. All right. Next story that appeared this week. Forget converting the metric system. We apparently are too dumb for that. America is now deciding to ditch one of its official measurements of feet due to a tiny size difference. So they've changed 12 inches. Let's write the story in just one more sentence. Headline: America redefines how long is a foot. And LGBTQ knows it proves inches matter. Power.
Well, as a gay man, I'm hurt, I'm offended, I'm dismayed, I'm confused. As gay men, if we have taught America anything, it's that bigger is better.
Yeah.
Woo, baby.
I'm assuming the international foot and the U.S. foot both require the same amount of lube.
Dwight?
As a size queen, I'm very upset that I was not a part of this conversation.
And Houston?
Well, here in Native America, I would have to say that you gotta see how big it is over here. I'm over what America's going to say. Check us out.
I hear y'all are alligator wrestlers, so I understand what you're saying. John.
Look, it comes down to one important fact. Size matters.
Yeah. And Rossaroni?
Well, as Ty had pointed out several episodes ago, the rainbow wave is my signature sex move. So who would like to ride my surfboard and hang 10 inches?
Child, such
I'm
a
in.
bragger.
I'm in.
Taisha?
I mean, speaking of inches, inches do matter when flagging red and measuring by foot or by hand.
And elimination.
Size queens, y'all in trouble. But lucky for you, no matter what, my little man still measures up.
Ooh. Ooh. And let's hear what the girl perspective is. Amber.
We sound like fucking idiots over this couple of centimeters. Can we just please, God, join the rest of the world with the metric system? This is so stupid and dumb.
Yeah, my number is 26 centimeters. I love that. Look it up. Stunning news out of the world of science as they may be this week. Although no promises have been made, let's write the story in just one more sentence. Headline: FDA approves a historic human trial for the cure to AIDS. Power.
Well, pending the outcome of an investigation to investigate the safety and efficacy of this drug, it really appears hopeful and something that can really save millions of lives. So I'm looking forward to it.
And Jarrell?
Well, of course, I get a little sad, but when I think about how I got it, I can't complain.
Dwight.
This makes me feel very, very hopeful. However, it also makes me sad that it's taken so long to come this far, and we're still waiting on a cure for COVID. So how long is that going to take?
In Houston?
I think this is great news. Let's continue to fund it at all levels and keep the science progressing.
Ty.
I thought we had banned animal testing.
John.
I will not get my hopes up until further on in the process, but I'm glad to see them using gene therapy as the cure.
And Rossaroni. And elimination.
This is great news. You know, I hope for a cure is truly eternal, but I just hope, DMV area, this is not the next Tuskegee.
Ooh, interesting. Let's move out of just one more sentence and focus on the.
Whoa! Where's my sentence?
I was gonna say you forgot the non-binary and the women, as if we don't get AIDS and HIV.
Oh hell no!
I'm sorry. Did I?
Thanks for that. Appreciate it.
That big energy fixed the screen.
Wait, the privileged white guy is being lashed. Taisha, I missed you.
Yes, you did.
I'm sorry.
I think 3 decades later, this is an important step to stop a genocide that was actually made worse by our government. So I'm excited.
And Amber.
Congratulations. We needed to have this cure like 20, 30 years ago. Where has it been? If this was a virus that was known to affect straight people and everyone like Corona, they would have a cure within a year. Just like we're seeing with coronavirus, where we'll probably have it by January.
Taisha and Amber, again, apologies, but my mind was still on Brazilian men, and I'm a little befuddled.
He got digmatized. He got digmatized.
And you've heard the rumor on Brazil. It's not a rumor. Next, we focus on LGBT, big topic number 2 this week, and that is about young people, including LGBTQ, are being killed by the COVID-19 pandemic because they refuse to participate in a solution. Watch this.
The World Health Organization says that the COVID-19 pandemic is now being driven by younger people. Many of them are asymptomatic, posing a danger to vulnerable groups. This month, those infected were largely in their 20s, 30s, or 40s, but as many are unaware that they're even infected, authorities are concerned about the risk of spread to the elderly and sick people.
Well, it is quite an issue in terms of how the numbers are growing, and they're grim for young people. They are the ones that are now in greatest percentage catching COVID-19. But because they could be asymptomatic or they have mild symptoms, they're also the greatest risk in passing it to their parents and worse, their grandparents. More and more as the months have passed, we have learned so much more about COVID-19, and what we are learning about young people is stuff that we don't like to know. They are not participating in the solution. Let's have this conversation. Jarrell, let's begin with you.
Well, as you know, I try at all costs to avoid controversy. So I don't want to say anything that will upset people, but I don't want to lay this at the feet of young people who are being young people. When I was in my 20s and 30s, I took risks that I wouldn't take now. Not because it was smart or wise, but because I was in my 20s and 30s. So yes, 30-somethings, please be careful. Wash your hands, wear your mask, do what you're supposed to do. But we also have a lot of us who have been around for a lot of, we've gone around the sun several times, and I still blame the poor response to this, not on 30-year-olds not having the wisdom of a 50-year-old, but on a 74-year-old not having the wisdom of a shrimp. So I blame the leadership of our country, not 30-year-olds who are still working it out, which is a 30-year-old's job.
You know, as someone who works with young people all the time, I think that they are very resourceful and that they always kind of know how to get what they want. So with this being the case, I think Medicare and Social Security are going to be around for a lot longer than we think they are.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's unfortunate that, you know, our young people are being fed so much different things from so many different places. I mean, we're forcing our young people to go to school. We're forcing our young people to go to college. We're forcing our young people to be normal. And when you have presidents fighting with governors, governors fighting with mayors, disrespecting lawsuits happening where a governor is suing a mayor, telling them that you're not right. I mean, so our young people are at a state of, you know, they just like confused. They're complex. And so they have to do, as Darrell mentioned, they have to be young. But so if you're fed 5 different things, you're going to go what feels right. And so it's not necessarily their fault. We have to look at, what is being fed to them from the top, and how do we fix it? And how do we fix it? We vote in 78 days.
Well, Darrell is a better man than me. He said he don't like controversy. I'm the opposite. I don't give a damn. So let me just say that I think that there is enough blame to go around. And part of that blame, yes, I do blame the younger people, because I don't know how many of our viewers or how many of our panel members, I'm sure maybe some of you guys have somebody that has died from COVID. But it's a little comfort to say if somebody died from COVID that you know, somebody that you love, and they got it, and you could trace it back to somebody that was younger, that was asymptomatic, but was irresponsible and reckless, and gave it to your parent, your elder, your loved one, and they died. Well, I'm not going to sit there and say, well, child, you know, they didn't know any better. They were just being young. No, you were also being dumb. You know what life and death is, even at 20 and 30 years old.
That's right.
So,
it's not like we're going to be in a pandemic forever, for eternity. You can wait 6 months. You can wait 8 months or however until this, gets better. At least.
Can I refocus?
They still have the same responsibility.
Can I refocus what we're discussing on Queer News Tonight? Every Tuesday night we did week 26 this week on Tuesday. We bring in Dr. Howard Grossman, was the former American Director of HIV medicine in the United States. I mean, the guy is uber qualified. We continue to do a Q&A for the LGBT community on COVID. And I continue to challenge the question, have we gotten there yet? Which is, there's only two conclusions. One conclusion is that we're going to mitigate and accept correctly, or we're going to accept the president's solution, which is open the businesses, open the bars, open the schools. A certain percentage are going to get sick, a certain percentage are going to be asymptomatic, a certain percentage are going to die, and it is what it is, and we move past it. Have we gotten to the point that those are our only two solutions left?
I say hell no. What amount of children is it okay to die from COVID because you had to open school right now instead of 6 months from now? It's nonsensical. Or anyone's death is not justifiable, not even one.
Let me argue with you, Amber. And the reason I argue with you is if 1%, if we're looking at a 1% death rate in the general population, a 9-year-old child is, and this is incorrect, my statistic is incorrect, might be 1/10 of 1%. It might be 1/100th of a percent. Young children are not dying in any significant, however you define significant, I don't want to argue over that.
One is significant to me.
Okay,
that's my point.
I hear you loud and clear, but overwhelmingly, it's not until you move to 70-year-olds where you see 30%, 35%, and as a result, the president is basically saying they're going to die. What it is, let's move the economy and schools forward and we'll accept. 1 million deaths is okay. It's okay, because counterbalanced with the economic collapse that we're seeing, we'll accept. Is that true?
So how much is how do you monetize those deaths? I mean, come on.
Well,
they're monetizing it. They're monetizing it because, again, they're taking a capitalist approach, right? So if they're more valuing the dollar over the human person, of course they're going to be like, open the economy. They could have taken a different approach and they could have paid the citizens like how they're doing in Canada and paid them to sit home, which would have still helped the economy. But again, them not doing it means that they're not actually wanting to help the demographic that don't have the money to survive. They're wanting to continue to help the investors who are pumping Wall Street and the S&P and stock exchange that are making record numbers, but it is not reflecting anything but capitalism. It's not reflecting humanity, and it's not reflecting compassion. And so, yeah, we are just a number to them. We're worker number 1, 3, 4, 5, 7. Like, they don't care. They can replace it with worker number 1, 3, 4, 5, 8. So that's their approach.
I don't accept it. I just simply don't accept it.
I mean, I never said it was acceptable.
No, and you shouldn't. But that is also my point, that we have 330 million people that we're saying, okay, behave yourselves, as if that were ever a possibility. What we don't have is a government taking care of us, like by saying, don't go to school yet, there's a fine if you don't wear your mask. We're asking 300 million people to all have the same level of wisdom and maturity, and that's not, we're
failing the group project. We are failing this group project.
What we need is a leader or a government that will make us do the right thing. Like they make us wear seatbelts and get driver's license and pay taxes. They could make us wear masks and behave ourselves.
It's all too late. It's all too late. Al, after I was, helped co-host the Q News Tonight when we had Dr. Grossman there, I spent a lot of time thinking about this, and it's too late. We've already lost the leadership. We've already lost the time to do it. America has decided that we're open and we're going to accept those deaths. I think that's honestly the truth. I think America has decided that. And we can sit here and we can have our ideals and we can think that what is right and justify it all day long. But in a practical sense, we've made that decision already.
I got a take on this, a different take. All right, so why aren't we producing the level of testing that we need? The United States cannot produce the testing that we need. And it's because we weren't ready and our businesses weren't ready. China is making the tests. Other countries are making the tests. Why did we lose that? Okay. And so there's something to be said for our economy, being able to make things for ourselves. The government just can't pay us and things go fine. We need to have businesses here that work. So it's a tough line to walk. No one wants anyone to die of any disease, but I also don't want my population wiped out by poverty. So I think it's a tough road to walk, but I think obviously Trump is doing a terrible job of it. He did a terrible job up front because we would have had the tests where we could test all the young people and tell them to go inside if they had it. But we're not.
I couldn't get a test for the first 3 months of this.
Exactly. And so what's
I'm
wrong?
33 years old and
Right.
I'm not even qualified. I wouldn't even know if I spread it to 10 people in the beginning.
Shame on the United States.
Not only are we filling a group project, we're filling a class project, because ultimately smaller population of people are the larger numbers, because we can't afford healthcare, because our jobs are being taken, so we lose our healthcare. We are not sitting at home with mounds and mounds of bank accounts. And those are the people who have to put themselves on the front lines. And those are the people who are replaceable, because him and his cohorts, may I fit you for these pair of shoes, or hey, let me wash your car, putting themselves out there. And so we have gone well beyond, as Ty mentioned, we're so far down to it that it's now a matter of save this population of people, forget the others. And we talked about this a couple episodes ago. They're stepping over side of us. They're stepping over top of us poor folk, us poor marginal folk, and making room and looking out for their own. And it's too far gone.
And it's where race and class get compounded.
I have to bring the conversation to an end, but I challenge all of you. I'm serious. I challenge all of the hosts at Gay Town Hall. We must move beyond, and this was a fascinating conversation. It really was. But we must move on to the acceptance of where we are versus where we want or wish we were. Because this is August 20th. We've been 8 months now, and we're in similar, if not worse, situations than we were 4 months ago. So what's next? Acceptance of 1 million deaths and the economy, or we're going to accept the mitigation necessary? Because where is the in-between? And I'm going to challenge all of you as we continue to go forward. Let's move on.
Real quick closing comment, Al, if I can. Kenneth Merrick kind of sums it up. He says, "It may not be my decision, but it's my burden and responsibility to survive in America today."
Yep, personal responsibility.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, let's move out of this topic and move into some additional just one more sentences. These are headlines, as we've said, that appeared this week, and our hosts are going to write the story right before your eyes. So let's start the discussion with you. About 100 years ago, women were granted the right to vote in the Constitution of the United States, but people who didn't want the poor or minority women to vote found plenty of ways to make sure they didn't. This is the 100 and I believe 100 or 102, I'm unsure, anniversary of women's right to vote. But of course we mean white women only. Let's write the story in just one more sentence. Headline: this week is the anniversary of the 19th Amendment on women's right to vote. But we mean whites only. Power.
Well, to think that 100 years ago, women, whites only, couldn't even vote, and now look at us now, aspiring to higher levels in government and positions of power. So we've come a long way.
Darrell.
I would never want to get preachy about anything, but the original and ongoing sin of our country is its pathological need to deny the full humanity of some of its inhabitants.
And Dwight.
We've come so far, but we still have a long ways to go.
Houston.
I look at indigenous societies who rely on the leadership of so many of their women. I think that this just proves that America is so backward in many ways. And so I look forward to more progress on this matter.
Ty.
You've never seen suffrage unless you've watched Power watch an episode of RuPaul's Drag Race.
Suffering. John.
It seems strange now that women couldn't vote 100 years ago. So I take the history lesson that we have to, it's an important right that we have.
Rossaroni.
Till the 19th Amendment struck at the roof rule. All right.
Taisha.
Who else rock?
Well, Jim Crow laws back then prevented black people from voting, and Jim Crow laws have evolved to still prevent black people from voting even today.
Elimination.
Black women were there marching, but unfortunately forced to the back of the march. Black women were left behind. Black women's backs were broken. And hopefully today, coming 78 days, we'll have a black woman as a vice president.
And can I just point out to all of you that I'm watching my notes very carefully because, frankly, Amber scares me. Amber.
Yes.
We're talking about suffrage.
Yes. Exercise your right. Do it. Vote. Make sure you vote, especially the women. We're half of the populace. Do it. Stop not doing it. Exactly. That's what I can't stand. Everyone worked so hard for us to get there, so just make sure that you vote.
I'm too scared to tell her that was more than just one more sentence. A gay porn star received right. A gay porn star received quite a bit of backlash this week on social media when he thought it was a good idea to tout how awesome big parties were at Fire Island over 4th of July during the COVID-19 outbreak. Let's write the story in just one more sentence. Headline: Gay porn star dragged for defending July 4th Fire Island LGBT parties. Power.
I have a problem with that headline because I actually read the essay, and after reading the essay, I don't so much think that he was defending it or trying to justify it as much as trying to make sense of it.
Did you just call that fake news?
I called it Al News.
Well, I am usually very bashful about talking about sex, but it is true that we need connection and we need caution, and sometimes one need might overpower the other.
Dwight.
I know the blonde guy in the picture.
Houston.
Can I get his number?
Yeah. Ty. Oh, I'm sorry, Houston.
Again, I agree with our viewer. It's our burden and our responsibility to survive in America today, so we got to do our best.
Ty.
Like Power, I read his actual piece, and I'm surprised that a porn star can use big words and wax poetic about gay culture.
That was a read. John.
So is 100 guys at a pandemic party on Fire Island, is this considered toxic masculinity?
Go good.
But I'm pumped.
Stop, don't speak.
Literally.
Rossaroni.
Listen, he should have known better. He's a porn star. He's a role model.
A role model. Taisha.
Actually, I find it weird that the intelligence of the porn star is better than the intelligence of this storyline that misspells porn and misspells defending.
Is the story Laura code really misspelled?
Yes.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Welcome to our 11th grade broadcasting project.
Oh, they shut it down, baby.
Chris Warner doesn't know how to use spell check, just saying.
Someone copy pasted.
Amber, do you have anything to add to this damn story? Anything?
Yes! Put your dicks away on Fire Island for 6 more months so we can find our way out of this. Jesus Christ.
Oh, who cares about COVID? We got our title headline wrong. All right.
Hey, you forgot the black guy. You forgot the black guy.
Wait.
Damn!
Woo! Did you see that comment? Look at that comment.
Elimination.
Am I frozen on purpose? Okay, see, I'm feeling some kind of way. I feel like I see a RuPaul haze of season 1 on my face, and now I see this. Okay, but I'm going to give you my one more sentence anyway. Besides Taisha Flag on the play, here's my comment. Buyer's remorse can be a bitch, and so can be the letdown of a good nut.
All right,
That's right.
Yeah,
Immediately after, you're scared that you have COVID, right? Immediately afterwards.
Yeah, but
Not
before.
I have lost control. Let's continue. In just one more sentence, did you hear it this week? It was the soundbite heard around the world. Bernie Sanders may not be the presidential nominee, but he apparently knows a thing or two about mocking Donald Trump as he compares him to an all-time awful world leader. Let's write the story in just one more sentence. Headline: Bernie Sanders says Nero fiddled while Rome burned, Trump golfs. Power.
And if there were any that danced to the fiddler while the world burned, that would be Republicans.
And Darrell.
While I try to avoid politics at all costs,
Fail.
Trump's recreation doesn't bother me nearly as much as his perfidy, his venality, and his ineptitude.
And Dwight?
I just want someone to write a book of quotes that were, said about Trump after he's out of office.
Oh, it's going to be a bestseller.
Entertaining. Bestseller. It might not should have got out of the running.
Houston.
If only we knew a writer.
All right, everybody, let's get this guy out of office. Vote Democratic.
Tie.
Nero, Faro, wherever you are, my heart will go on.
And John. I've got poetry this week. Poetry, John.
It's much better when Trump golfs. We don't want him doing anything else.
There's truth in that. Rossaroni.
Set fire to the golf courses. It'll be fun.
Set fire. Taisha.
I actually disagree with Bernie Sanders. I don't liken him to Nero. I actually liken him to Caligula.
Ooh. Ooh.
So clever. She's so
Ooh,
clever.
that's clever. Elimination.
Picture it, it's Christmas time. So what do the selfish do? Self-centered when folks are dying. They go golfing.
Amber.
I just want to say I feel sorry for Bernie Sanders. I feel like the Democrats have stolen so many of the main issues that he ran on 4 years ago, and now they're like the main topics, and he's just really too old to do anything, no matter what he says. But
I'm
good
trying
for
to-
Bernie. That's a good quote.
Yeah, I'm trying to form
Turn
a
up your
tier.
hearing aid, Al.
Yeah, I'm
Turn up your
trying
hearing aid.
Next up, all right, let's move out of just one more sentence and move to our big LGBT topic of the week. Also, number 3, Black lives continue to matter. Or do Black lives continue to matter? Because we're not hearing as much as we did. And there's also the status of police reform. They intersect with each other. Watch this.
I think that everybody needs to express themselves however they feel they have to. I'm not out, like I said, I'm not out here to tell you what to do. I don't want you to tell me what to do, but I just do what my heart tells me to do. I ask God to direct me and lead me, and if I've got His direction, I don't have to worry too much about anything else. But I do understand people having to make themselves known and felt and seen. And of course, Black Lives Matter. Do we think our little white asses are the only ones that matter?
Oh my goodness, Dolly. There has been a lot of back and forth among protesters and politicians on exactly what police reform looks like without a whole lot of resolution yet. Lots and lots of words. Is defunding the police a must? Is that the outcome of what should happen next? Are we just going to paint our roads and say that's enough? Let's start tonight's conversation with Power.
So to be transparent, I'm probably going to be the one to take the most anti-police stance on this panel due to the fact that I was actually suffered police brutality. I will never forget it. It's something that will stay with me forever. And I also received no justice in 1993. The question is, do Black lives continue to matter? Black lives have always mattered. That's a fact. But the controversy is getting America to acknowledge the fact that Black lives have mattered. I am not somebody that is pro-police. I do not believe. I refuse to back the police until the police stop killing Black people. I believe Black lives matter and Blue lives murder. We have seen a conversation this week erupt about a tragic incident with a child by the name of Cannon Hinnant. And we see that it seems like racists seem to want to take this tragedy and use it to propel their own racism by saying, say his name, what happened? Why doesn't he get the same media attention? Justice for Cannon, this, that, and the other thing. You cannot equate the two. You cannot equate what happened to this child to the lives of millions of Black people for 401 years. This child received justice within 12 hours of his murder. 12 hours of his murder, they caught the murderer. And because that man is Black, you can better believe that they're going to hang him high. Oh, he's going to get justice. That is for sure. Rest assured, he's going to get justice. But Breonna Taylor still ain't got no justice. Ahmaud Arbery, no justice. 3 weeks before they arrested those guys, and they're probably going to get off. Eric Garner, no justice. And there was another little Black child that got killed by a civilian. He didn't receive any justice. His name was Trayvon Martin. So you cannot equate the justice that is seen by a tragic death of a white child to the injustice that you've seen for 401 years by millions of Blacks in this country. No comparison at all. False equation.
So can we also focus back on that situation? So that situation, you're right, they try to do a whole deflection, because in that situation, it's not a matter of anybody's lives. We all know everybody's lives matter. That's a matter of gun control. Let's be clear. The guns are on the streets, and where the guns come from, NRA, who's supporting the NRA? Republicans, it's in Walmart, it's in all those places. So let's be clear about that. But I want to also talk about the defunding of the police. And we know some school districts are doing school from home. But do you know that police have in their budget to monitor school districts? What are they going to do with that money if they're not monitoring school districts? Why isn't that money being returned or put into that school district? So that's what the whole thought about defunding the police. That's what the whole thought is. How do we do better? So even if you don't put the money back into that school district, give your policemen sensitivity training. Give them training on mental health. Give them training on how to handle a civilian without pulling your gun out first. Let's do that, because if you think about it, teachers have to pass certification. Teachers have to do classes. Teachers have to do so many things to maintain their jobs. Policemen pass an agility test and shooting range every year, and they're taking our lives. Where's the equal justice?
So one of the big things I noticed when I moved from Pennsylvania to Florida, one of the big things I noticed was that a regular traffic stop in Fort Lauderdale takes 3 to 4 police cars. A regular traffic stop in the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania, takes 1 police car. To me, that indicated a huge problem. And this was 20 years ago when I moved here. So we're finally now talking about this. Yeah, it's been a problem for a long time.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I wouldn't say necessarily defunding. However, police officers need to be held accountable, and there is other training that needs to take place. What's happening now is, I feel like becoming cop, in their mind, they're just like this superhero, but to me more of a villain, that feels like they can get away with anything. And they need to be held accountable for their actions, because now they feel very invincible, as if they can do whatever they want.
Yeah, I agree. I think, though, what we also need to talk about is that we need to differentiate an identity versus a career. I think the police have been categorized, and we also need to categorize this as kind of a pandemic as well. Policemen are leading a pandemic against Black people. A policeman is not an identity, it is a career. Black people do not have any choice to pick up a phone and call out of their own Blackness. that does not exist. When we leave the house, we are who we are. We are just asking for safety, and we are asking for the abolishment of the structure that wasn't even created for Black people. Policemen were also evolved from slave catchers, so we don't even know our own history.
Let me challenge that observation to all of you in terms of how you're explaining that it is not equal in terms of justice. Nearly 40 years ago, at my high school in Sarasota, Florida, Sarasota High School, we have a principal, and still to this day, a principal Black neighborhood community in Sarasota. It's a Republican county. It is isolationist, even still to this day, far more than it absolutely should be. In 1978, we had a principal Black high school, and Sarasota High School was principally a white high school. Still, in 1978, and there was racial unrest in terms of students being bused into both schools. And at Sarasota High School, on the campus in 1978, there was racial. I won't say a riot, that's an inaccurate word, but there was significant racial tension in the community 40 years ago. Today, we're having a conversation that washes over me like deja vu. I'm sitting here going, we're still talking about this 40 years later. My challenge to you is, even with everything that you've said, what are we going to do about it? How are you going to get the me's to be on your page? I'm on your page, of course you know that. I'm talking metaphorically. But the privileged white older guy, how are you going to get him on your page to implement some kind of change in America? How are we going to do it? Otherwise, we're going to be doing this and having this conversation on Gay Town Hall in 2060.
Well, I think that the change, first of all, change, it has to start with ideology. It has to start with ideology, and it has to start with thinking. So how do you change people's thoughts? How do you change people's minds? Generationally, incrementally. I really thought that we had, before Trump, I really thought that we had come so far. And what Trump did, I will give him credit for one thing. What Trump did was he peeled back the veil that we all thought, and the security blanket that we all thought that we had in this country when it came to racism. And he really showed us that it's more alive than we ever believed. So I really don't know how to answer that question other than to say maybe I hope they all die off and a new generation springs forth that is more enlightened. Somebody says there needs to be a representative from law enforcement on your panel, Victor. I would have loved that as well, because I would love to say what I have to say, not about somebody, but to somebody. So I would have loved that as well. But yeah, to answer your question, maybe they'll, die off and a new generation will come forth, especially with this new Black Lives Matter focus, that will be a little bit more enlightened.
Well, I would also say that, go ahead.
Aren't a couple of the major cities that are involved in this? First of all, I'm for police reform, so I think that that's an important thing that we should do. And so Al's asking, how do we get that done? Aren't police forces part of the cities that they're in? Don't the cities run those? It's the mayors that you elect that make that happen and put that as an agenda. So again, it's local politics. And aren't some of the cities where these things are happening, don't they already have Black mayors? I mean, we're not seeing the change. A lot of them have Black police chiefs.
Right. There's so much money there in that budget. What do Black Lives Matter? What would they like as a social program, or what, besides obviously police killing people?
John just brought up something that's really interesting, and I thank John for bringing that up. You know what? To that point about there's Black mayors and Black police chiefs. The reason that we see Black mayors and Black police chiefs and nothing seems to be getting better, once again indicates and points to systemic racism. It's engraved and woven into the fabric of the system, of the institution itself. So it doesn't matter if you're Kunta Kinte Black, you are still part of the problem. We need to change the whole system.
So
I agree with Power. I agree with what Power said. And I'm sure Illumination is going to back me up here, but it's actually not the mayor that controls that. It's the city council. It's the city council that, if you showed up to their meeting and ask to have that put on the agenda, the city council can vote on how much funding that a police department has. And you also have to realize that these cities are mirroring the government. And right now, this government has the largest military in the world by like a multiple of 5.
It's 60% of our national budget.
Right. So if we see our parents model of what it looks like in terms of a justice system, of course we're going to copy them because that's the only rubric we've been given by our parents. What we need to do as citizens is, one, stop relying on tokenism of Black people to do this change by themselves. That ain't going to happen. 2, white people need to collect their fellow white people, whether it's your aunt or uncle or cousin, and all of the Karens and all of the Roberts, and tell them that what they do isn't okay. Because I've been around a bunch of white people watching another white people being racist, and they haven't done anything. And 3, it is important when we talk about city council positions on the election ballot to understand who you are electing to the city council. It's one thing to know by the back of your hand who to elect as president, but if you don't know who is running your city as a council member, you are doing yourself a disservice as a citizen of that city.
And so now, tear down the whole policies, laws, and everything. So what we have to do is, because these people are enforcing what's on the books, and so if we tear down, hold police accountable, meaning that they can be arrested, they can be held to the same standard that I can for killing someone, is start. To answer your question, how can you get involved? By stepping up and saying, I want to see the budget. I want to see where you all are spending money. I don't understand why do you have a tank if you don't need a tank? Why are you spending so much time at this school when this part of the area needs to be policed? Additionally, let's have the conversations to hold everyone accountable, and then let's invest into future leaders. Let's teach young people how to be leaders. Let's teach them the civics. Let's teach them how to run a city, so that way as we continue to grow, these young people are now being focused on how to run, be safe, not be scared. And to your other point, you mentioned your 30 years ago, I had the same situation in high school. And to Ty's point about big cities, every big city has a situation where it takes 5 cops. I was put on the curb, very much like Power, and it was 3 of us. All 3 of us had major degrees. All 3 of us were college graduates. All 3 of us were professionals. However, thank you, and I'm done now. I just want to say that unfortunately, it's the look that is being given and being portrayed. Until we change that look, until we change that situation where cops are now, everyone's doing a body cam. Everyone is held accountable. It's not, I forgot to turn it off. Because if you forgot to turn it off, you're not doing your job. You need to be fired, period.
You know, the quality of this conversation, I just tell you, it washes over me very well. The quality of this conversation was super high. The one thing that I challenge all of us and the listeners that are listening to this conversation, it does have a feel of a little bit of veneer, that we're talking about the exterior of the problem in terms of getting right to what are the actual issues. I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. And I just plant a seed with you first and foremost, which is as much at this second I can do, which is what are the specifics that we do besides painting a road in front of Trump Tower or the White House to say, you're heard now. I hear it completely. I consider myself very well read. What I want to know, and probably millions of people like me and look like me want to know now, what can I do tangible? And let's explore that, and we'll continue to explore that at Gay Town Hall.
Al.
This has been an excellent conversation. Go ahead, David. Okay. Go ahead, David.
It would be.
It was Dorel.
Oh wait, no, then I can't do anymore. I was going to let David in. Okay, all right. Let's move out of this topic. Really quite good. Congratulations, guys. I really think outstanding. Let's do a couple final just one more sentences of the headlines that we watched this week that we thought were interesting. Let's do one that's a little sillier and a little lighter. Switzerland. Oh, do I love Switzerland. It became my favorite place in the world this week as a factory malfunctioned, and because of their malfunction, they started to blow through their smokestacks as it rained chocolate from the sky on the village. So let's write the story in just one more sentence. Headline, real life Willy Wonka as it snows chocolate in a Switzerland village. Power?
Well, we know that chocolate is an aphrodisiac, so I can only imagine all the bump and grinding that happened that night.
And Darrell?
You know, whether it's snowing chocolate or raining men, life is full of beautiful surprises.
Exactly. Dwight.
Life is like a box of chocolate. You never know what you're going to get.
Right. Houston.
I think we're going to be seeing some films from that at next year's Outshine Film Festival.
Okay. And Ty?
I always like a little Swiss chocolate.
I bet you do. John?
Darrell stole mine. So, two of the best weather events. It's raining men and it's snowing chocolate.
And Rossaroni?
So I'm moving to Switzerland.
Right. Taisha?
I can just imagine myself in a bikini and an umbrella singing in the rain of chocolate, and I am not mad about it.
Elimination?
Go outside and get yourself some chocolate elimination. I mean, some chocolate fever.
Finally, someone does the joke. I thought maybe perhaps this Just One More Sentence was too close to our Black Lives Matter topic to talk about.
Thought it's RuPaul Hayes you got me into the joke.
I knew elimination was going to go there, so I did that.
Right, okay. All right, let's move on. Another Just One More Sentence. Since 1935, the American Legion has hosted a civic engagement camp called Boys State. And they have many political leaders that have come out of Boys State through its history. And history seems to be repeating itself this week. Let's write the story. Just one more sentence. Headline. The Boys State teens voted for Texas to secede from the United States. Are they our political future? Power.
Well, I think by the time that they're old enough or powerful enough to affect that type of change, I'll be too old or too dead to give a damn, so it's whatever.
Wait, so next year is it? I'm sorry.
Oh.
Darrell?
Who's talking?
Darrell?
You know, the Republic of Texas voluntarily joined.
I'm sorry,
The Republic of Texas voluntarily joined the U.S. to become the 28th state. I suppose they have the right to leave just as voluntarily. Whatever.
If they take Ted Cruz, no problem. Dwight?
He's Canadian.
No love lost.
I was a part of Boys State, and look at me now.
Yeah. We're talking about that's a different Boys State, Dwight. Different Boys State.
No, I was a part of Boys State. I was actually the governor. I won 2002.
Yeah, okay. Houston.
I'm curious to see where the girls stayed at.
Ty.
I was the advisor for the Model United Nations for a long time, and every time we had a convention, they blew up the world. So,
yeah. John.
There's actually a documentary called Boys State that came out in 2020, and it's got 95% on Rotten Tomatoes. So go watch that and check it out.
Interesting. Rossaroni?
The stars at night are big and bright. Oh, that's right, we lost Texas.
Right. And there's no tears being shed here either. Taisha?
No. As a representative of the girls' state, someone asked where we were, and I can say that we were busy home watching the WAP video that was done by Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion.
Oh,
yeah, things to do.
Oh, my.
Things to do.
Elimination is just going, oh, no. Follow that elimination.
What in Republican whitewash hell? Have these boys not heard about horseback riding and nature hikes and playing in the river? Come on, dude.
Yeah. Amber.
Play a pinker.
I think this is some gay shit. Like, this is where Republican... It sounds like the gay campground, and this is where, like, Republican parents send their son to conversion therapy, thinking that he's going to come out all straight and butch and Republican, but it doesn't probably work.
John, would you like a rebuttal? Any rebuttal?
No, I'm going to stay away from that.
Yeah, I
Thank
was
you.
going to say, I'd be afraid. Deeply
I just think maybe they need some of, as Dominic Silver says, chocolate elimination.
Yeah, chocolate elimination. All right, let's move on. Just one more sentence. The Queen of Pop has been doing her thing for the better part of 4 decades now. There's no sign Madonna is going to stop anytime soon. So let's write the story in just one more sentence. Headline: The Material Girl this week turns 62. All hail Madonna. Power.
Yeah, I don't hail nobody but God, but it's so all right. Happy birthday, Darrell.
Darrell.
A la Nipsey Russell. Madonna, they say, is 62. Do they mean her age or her IQ?
Ooh.
What the pastor?
Dwight, I know.
On here.
Dwight.
My
Right.
I'm a virgin too. I don't know. Happy birthday, Madonna.
You just told us you went to Boise State. That's a lie. Houston.
Madonna's been a source of inspiration. Long live Madonna.
Long live Ty.
Madge, as your gay best friend, call Cher's doctor.
Ooh, that's a vicious read. John.
I was going to say, I don't think Madonna's going to pull off a Cher.
Damn it, you guys!
Rossaroni.
I was going to say something about Cher.
62, is that the percentage of her that is material? Or is it 62 BC?
Taisha.
I was just going to say, all hell the drag queen and the ballroom circuit that gave her the iconography that made her who she was today.
Yeah, absolutely true. That is a true statement. Elimination.
I don't like Madonna around here.
So happy birthday.
Well, you sat in her concert waiting for her for 3 hours, and you wouldn't be pro Madonna either. Elimination.
So happy birthday, girl. I was hooked since Borderline. I hope the Material Girl got everything she wanted. I'm just trying to get someone to justify touching all over my damn body.
Can someone, you are so thirsty, sir. You are so thirsty. Sir. Not.
Pansexual leather guy. Come on now. Amber.
You will never be Cher. You are Madonna and you are a legend, but you will never be Cher, no matter how long you live. Sorry.
All right. This next, just one more sentence, hits close to home to me because I used to be 500 pounds. A Chinese restaurant wanted to know how much customers weighed in order to apparently fight food waste in China. And it didn't go well for them. Let's write the story in just one more sentence. Headline: Restaurant in China apologizes after their solution was asking customers to weigh themselves in front of all customers before ordering. Ugh, yikes. Power.
This story is a key to me, honey. So they basically said, no, girl, you ain't gonna have the spare ribs looking like that. You're gonna have the watercress salad and a bottle of water.
Darrell, it's not about you. Don't go there.
No, I know that my ass, the shadow of my ass, weighs 40 pounds, but still, don't get between the big bitch and his takeout.
You tell those Chinese. Dwight.
I wish a dog China would.
Houston.
They're just so messy. No, thank you.
And probably on this topic, the expert on the panel, Ty.
Oh.
I
see. You just threw me there. So China doesn't need to worry about how much I'm eating. What they need to measure is what I drink.
Oh, man. Oh, they would throw you out of China. And you've been many, many times. John.
Their original intention was to cut down on food waste. I guess people eat less when they weigh themselves. So you should try it, America.
Oh.
Oh my God.
That washes over me very badly. I know, exactly. Rossaroni.
Really? That's what they're apologizing for? It's like the child labor or the female baby? Okay.
Or the city of Wuhan. Just saying. Taisha.
I like this. The first thought that came to my head when I read that title was, if anyone would ever thought about getting between me and a 2-piece and a biscuit would catch this weave, would catch these hands, would catch these earrings, like no weight scale, would ever stop my black ass from ever being able to eat whatever the fuck I wanted.
I can see Taisha right. I can see Taisha right now in Shanghai Popeye. Hold my hair.
Like listen, I would put this shit. I'm not playing. I'm already getting mad. Right here.
Taisha, you're breathing heavy.
Right.
Go, girl.
Oh my gosh. Elimination.
Don't do it.
Wait! Put it
I cannot with you guys.
Maybe they take the police to a whole new level. Let them people eat that shrimp fried rice and give me some oxtails and a biscuit.
That's exactly right.
That is not what they're eating there. Okay,
No,
I'm gonna
they're
say
eating cockroaches.
shame is a good tool and it can be a good motivator, but this was not done right. But I do appreciate their agenda for the empty plate. It's called the empty plate agenda or something like that, where they're trying to cut food waste. So I get it, but shame is probably not the best way to get there.
Has anybody been to China? I'm just curious. And Ty, describe the food, your experience in China.
The food is out of this world. Like,
yeah,
you don't know what you're eating most of the time. I've had a silkworm put in front of me as still alive as dinner. At the same time, I've had some of the best food of my life in China. So
we're talking about cooked food, not humans.
Yeah. The reason I ask if y'all been to China, where in the world are you going to watch discussions in topics of things like what we've just talked about in terms of raining chocolate in Switzerland, or how they weigh you before you get in the way of your 2-piece and a biscuit in Shanghai's Popeye. It's an amazing conversation. Well, there you have it, America. Something totally unique for the LGBT community tonight. These amazing hosts and several surprise hosts that you're going to continue to see that you haven't seen yet tonight will be here every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, totally live and unscripted. You can participate in this conversation. We are marching towards November 3rd, 2020 and the election of a lifetime. It intersects with everything. COVID-19, race issues, trans rights, your paycheck, unemployment protection, our social and sexual interaction, which we've learned tonight apparently is very centric to elimination. And how the, that was Taisha's joke, by the way, and how the LGBTQ community fits into all of these issues. We are living the most important single moment of our entire lifetime, in our entire generational lifetime, and it will all be discussed right here. Tell your friends and family, share this conversation, participate in the community of conversation, and we are going to either be a community or we are not. You only need to look in the eyes of this very talented group of people to see diversity and know that you are looking at a strong community. So thank you for joining us. And until next time, the conversation, I promise you, at Gay Town Hall is only just beginning, because this is America's Gay Town Hall. Good night, America.
Bless you.
Out, bitches.